The day heaven wept. An angelic perspective on the cross. On the day the Son of God was nailed to a cross, the universe held its breath. It was the darkest moment for humanity, but a little-known secret of heaven's most revealing drama. Have you ever truly wondered what the heavenly hosts, those beings of light and power, did when they saw their Creator, the eternal Word, bleeding and dying for a world that largely rejected him? This is not just an ancient story. It is the hidden echo between the lines of Scripture, a whisper where the deep sorrow of heaven came face to face with earth's only hope. While humans on earth saw just another execution, the angels, and particularly their great princes, Michael and Uriel, were witnessing the incredible plan of God unfolding in the most unexpected way. You are about to discover a perspective that will show you the cross not just as a symbol of suffering, but as the epicenter of a cosmic battle and a love that transcends eternity. Golgotha, the shock of heaven. Golgotha, the place of crucifixion, was filled with a heavy, unbreathable atmosphere. While Roman soldiers divided Jesus' garments and religious leaders mocked him, in the spiritual realm, the heavenly armies watched in overwhelming silence. Two figures stood central among those countless angelic gazes. Michael, the great archangel, God's warrior prince, and Uriel, the angel of truth and divine wisdom. Michael, who usually led celestial battles, no longer bore the face of a warrior. His eyes reflected a deep shock, the confusion of a servant watching his king in an incomprehensible state. Uriel, whose very being radiated God's justice, was not prepared for war either. Together, they witnessed something that defied their understanding of divine majesty, the Creator of the universe willingly submitting to suffering at the hands of his own creatures. In that moment, as the drama unfolded, something extraordinary happened, an act with no celestial precedent. Michael, the mighty archangel, the captain of God's legions, fell to his knees. It was not weakness, but a spontaneous act of absolute reverence, a response to the unfathomable mystery of his Lord's sacrificial love. Beside him, Uriel, the angel of flame, was also profoundly moved. It is said that a tear, a drop of heavenly fire, escaped his eyes, a manifestation of the pure grief of a holy being witnessing injustice inflicted upon the perfect one. The judgment of the cross. Each hammer blow driving the nails echoed in the celestial realms like thunder made of sorrow. The seraphim, who ceaselessly cry, "Holy, holy, holy," before God's throne, stopped singing. Their song of praise was choked by awe and incomprehensible grief. Michael, still kneeling, beheld the King of Glory, the author of life, being rejected and tortured by the very humanity he came to save. It was a staggering contradiction that shook his understanding of divine justice. Uriel, the angel of flame, felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Why must the legions of heaven remain motionless while their Lord suffered? But then a revelation began to dawn. Michael understood. It was not swords or armies at stake on that hill. His king was winning the ultimate battle not through force that destroys, but through love that redeems. He was defeating hatred with forgiveness, darkness with his own sacrificial light. Then a command was issued from the very throne of God. Open the celestial books, record everything. This is the judgment of the cross, the turning point of cosmic history. Uriel, the angel of truth, received a scroll of pure light. Upon it, he would begin to write not with ink, but with the very essence of the sacrifice, the blood of the Lamb, the infinite love, and divine justice fulfilled. As Uriel began his sacred task, Michael the warrior archangel slowly spread his mighty wings, not to fight, but as an invisible cloak of comfort extended over the few faithful mourners at the foot of the cross. And with a voice that echoed in the spiritual realm, Michael declared, "Every tear shed for the Son shall be an eternal memory, and every drop of his blood shall become an unshakable defense for all who believe. It is finished." As the hours passed, an unnatural darkness covered the earth. In the invisible realm, the forces of darkness prematurely celebrated what they believed was their victory. But Michael knew this triumph was an illusion. His eyes remained fixed on the cross where the real battle was being fought. In a matchless act of worship, Michael bowed low, not before the heavenly throne, but there, surrounding Golgotha, before the crucified Son of God. With a voice trembling with reverence, he declared, "My Lord, you are conquering as no one has ever conquered." Meanwhile, Uriel was moved to perform a profoundly symbolic act. He extended his fiery hand, and with reverent touch, gathered a single drop of Christ's precious blood. That drop became a living flame, tiny but eternally burning, a testament Uriel would preserve at heaven's altar. At that very instant, the great veil of the temple in Jerusalem, the curtain separating man from God's holiest presence, was torn in two from top to bottom. It was a divine declaration. The way to God was now open, and from the cross, with a final breath that shook the foundations of creation, Jesus cried out with a voice weak on earth, but thunderous in eternity, "It is finished." The plan was complete, the victory sealed. Michael lifted his sword, not for battle, but in solemn salute to the victorious king. As hell began to realize its colossal error, Michael, moved by a love reflecting the Father and the Son, ascended to the throne of eternal majesty. There, in a bold and unprecedented act of angelic intercession, he pleaded not for himself, but for humanity. He begged that the precious blood shed not be in vain, that every soul for whom the Son died would be sought, reached, and restored. Heaven listened. The dawn of glory. Jesus' body was laid in a new tomb. Michael, obeying a divine order, descended to guard that sacred place, anticipating the dawn of the glory to come. Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb who was slain and now lives. With Christ resurrected, a new era dawned. Outside the empty tomb, in a garden bathed in morning light, Jesus prepared to reveal his victory. Michael and Uriel, invisible, accompanied him. Uriel watched with emotion, recognizing in Mary Magdalene the first earthly witness of the triumph over death. After a time teaching his disciples, the moment of the ascension came. From the Mount of Olives, Jesus was lifted into heaven, returning to the glory of the Father. Michael and Uriel, alongside armies of angels, formed the heavenly procession. The heavens opened, and angelic choirs proclaimed, "Make way for the King of glory, the mighty one, the victor of the cross. He is the King of glory." Uriel recorded in the eternal archives, "Here eternal love was sealed. Here grace triumphed over judgment. Now, with Christ enthroned, the mission of the archangels continues. Michael, the great protector, is the invisible guardian of the church, defending believers. Uriel, with his flame of divine truth, inspires and spreads the understanding of the gospel. Both know the victory is sealed, but one promise echoes through every prophecy. The King will return. And so heaven waits. When the trumpet sounds and the heavens open once more, Michael will lead the final consummation of victory. Uriel will raise the flame of truth, announcing the King's glorious return. Christ will descend not as the humble lamb, but as the Lion of Judah, King of kings and Lord of lords, to establish his eternal kingdom. Michael and Uriel, the angels who knelt before the cross and celebrated the empty tomb, will be there, witnesses to the final triumph of love that changed everything. If even the mighty archangel stood in awe before the depth of that sacrificial love, how much more should it transform the lives of those for whom it was offered? What does that monumental, cosmic, silent act of reverence demand of you today? Instrumente Gemini poate să facă greșeli, inclusiv în legătură cu persoane, așadar verifică